I'm now here with Susan. Susan just told us about the Huddle Board that happens on a weekly basis on this unit, and now we're standing at a different board. So where are we now?
So this board that we're at now is the Kata Board for this unit. This is a board that we meet at daily to go through a coaching cycle. This board is actually focused on purposeful rounding in an attempt to close the gap that we have in responsiveness of hospital staff. This is something that we identified from our Huddle Board that we needed to work on, so we chose Kata as the tool we would use to work on purposeful rounding.
So that's great. What I just heard is you have a strategy on your Huddle Board that you know you need to close that gap, and Kata is a tool that you're going to use on a daily basis to help you close that gap.
That's right.
And I do see that this board is something new that this is more than just one unit now working on this. Can you talk a little bit about what we see here?
I can. So this board is actually what we've kind of identified as a master Kata board. This is a board that I have 3 units working on, 3 inpatient med-surg units working on together to try to close the gap in responsiveness by increasing our purposeful rounding.
Yeah, so the question that's on the survey is responsiveness of hospital staff, and you're hypothesizing that purposeful rounding will really help close that gap. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right, so if it's okay with you, I want to do the coaching Kata with you, and you
Sure.
tell me a little bit about the work that happens on a daily basis on this unit.
Sure.
All right, so what is the target condition?
So the target condition for this board is that by August 8th of 2017, we would have the process characteristics as follows. Nurses chart purposeful rounds in the electronic medical record at assigned times. Nurses use the phrase, "I'm here to round on you" when purposeful rounding, and nurses document purposeful rounding on the communication board at designated rounding times. And then the process metrics for this target, we are targeting a percentage of purposeful rounding correct in the electronic medical record. We're going to audit 5 charts a day for that for 12 hours previously, and the target on this unit is to be at 90% compliant with that. And then we have a process metric, the percent of nurses that are using those keywords at key times, "I'm here to round on you." We'll audit 5 nurses per day and 5 nurses on the night shift, and we're targeting to be 50% compliant with that. And then we'll also be looking at the percent of purposeful rounds that are documented on the communication board, and we'll do that through our nurse leader rounding, and we're looking to have a 90% compliance rate with that. And then our outcome metrics for this target condition are directly related to our HCAP scores. We look at those both by discharge date by month, and we look at those by receive date as well. And this unit is targeting to be at 90% by discharge date and to be in the 50th percentile by receive date.
Okay, that's great work. So in the current condition, what is your actual condition now?
So currently the process characteristics are that we don't really know what the current condition is on how often nurses are charting purposeful rounds in electronic medical record. Nurses do not use the wording, "I'm here to round on you." They say, "Is there anything else I can do for you?" And then we're kind of hit or miss on whether or not they document correctly on the communication board. So the current process metrics for this board, on this unit, the percent of purposeful rounds that were documented correctly in the electronic medical record were 20% for yesterday. We currently have 0% of our nurses using those keywords at key times. And then for purposeful rounds documented on the communication board, this unit was at 70% yesterday. And then for our outcome metrics and HCAP scores by discharge date, this unit's currently at 65, and by receive date, this unit's in the 44th percentile.
Okay, so that discharge date score tells me that we are moving in the right direction.
That's correct.
All right, so what was your last step?
So the last step was to audit 5 charts for the previous 12 hours to obtain the current condition related to purposeful rounding documented in the electronic medical record.
Okay, and what did you expect to happen?
We expected that purposeful rounding would be charted about 30% of the time.
What actually happened?
So what actually happened is 5 charts were audited, and we actually were 20% compliant with purposeful rounding being documented in the medical record.
Okay, so what did you learn through that?
So what we learned is that it's actually there most of the time, but there are some hours that it gets skipped, and so that makes our score low. And we also learned that our patient care assistants are doing a really good job at this.
Oh, great. We should tell them that.
Yeah.
So what obstacles do you think are preventing you from reaching the target condition?
So obstacles we've identified are the nurses don't know to use the phrase, "I'm here to round on you." We've not really set the expectation that that's keywords at key times we want to use. Another obstacle is that purposeful rounding location changed in Baptist One Care when we had an upgrade, and so we feel like there's nurses who may not realize where they should be documenting that. And then we obviously have an obstacle related to we don't really know what our current condition is related to the documentation in the EMR.
Okay, so which one obstacle are you addressing now?
So today we're going to address the fact that not all the nurses know to use the phrase, "I'm here to round on you."
All right, so what is your next step?
So our next step will be that we want to send communication using our Vault phones, email, and our safety huddle boards about the expectations, the keywords at key times for I'm here to round on you when the nurse is purposeful rounding.
And what do you expect that will occur there?
We expect that over the next 24 hours we can increase from that 0% to 20% of our nurses using that phrase, and we will audit that. Like I said, 5 nurses in the daytime and 5 at night.
Okay. And when can we come back and check on it?
So we'll check on that tomorrow.
That sounds great. So again, this is daily work that happens, and what we hope that you see is this is specific daily work that is happening on this unit, specifically tied to the Huddle Board activity that happens on a weekly basis, specifically tied to the strategic work of our organization in the safe room. Do you see that connection?
Absolutely, absolutely. This work happens every day. We are seeing some positive trend lines on some of the units in responsiveness. After we identified we had a gap in responsiveness, we felt like this was a way to get us where we needed to go, and we are seeing some movement in the correct direction.
That's great.